Hi, I'm Brian Barnett, Mayor of the City of Rochester Hills and your host for this podcast, Right Down the Street. Now, Right Down the Street is our effort to bring to life the stories of the amazing people doing incredible things in and around the greater Rochester community and today in and around Metro Detroit. Now, one of our incredible residents is really responsible in a major way for some of the magic that you and your family enjoy each and every year as America's Thanksgiving Day Parade heads down Woodward Avenue. Tony Michaels has one of America's great jobs. He gets to work in and around all of these incredible floats with amazing actors and actresses and sculptors and creators to bring the magic of Christmas and Thanksgiving to life each and every year. You're going to love hearing his story, hearing what inspires him, and learning a little bit about what makes the magic happen each and every Thanksgiving. Thanks as always for watching, and enjoy this episode of Right Down the Street. Well, we are here at the Parade Company, and I'm excited to introduce you to a good friend of mine and a local Rochester area guy for many years, the president and CEO of the Parade Company, Tony Michaels. Tony, thanks for being here today.
Well, thank you for being here.
Well, this is way better than and I hate to say this, but it is cooler than our studio. You've got so much fun stuff here. I mean, tell us what happens here at the Parade Company this time of year. We're in the month of the parade. You've got to be going crazy. What kind of activity levels happening here?
There's a lot going on, but I have to tell you, we're lucky we're not here at night because all of these characters come alive. It's just one of those things.
Night at the museum here at the Parade Company.
Yes. No, I'll tell you, this is heavy duty right now. We are building 6 brand new floats. We're almost done with all of those. They're all 120 feet long. 25 feet in the air, moving parts, just crazy, absolutely crazy. But we also put on Nobble, Gobble, completely sold out at Ford Field, 2,500 people. We recently did the pancake breakfast presented by Blue Cross. We do the S3 Turkey Trot, Thanksgiving morning. And of course, America's Thanksgiving Parade presented by the float right behind you here, Gardner White.
Well,
an amazing part.
All the dreams that come true and all the part of so many wonderful Thanksgiving mornings for so many Metro Detroiters. But let's go back a little bit to your story a little bit. You didn't probably grow up in elementary school going, this is what I want to do when I grow up. But you've had a pretty exciting career. Kind of talk us through what got you here.
Oh, boy. Well, I'll make that real quick. I was raised at Elias Brothers Restaurants, big boy.
Sure.
I was 14, working in the summers. Graduated Central Michigan University, 1981.
They have a float.
They have a brand new float again this year. Wonderful. Graduated in 81. Worked my way up to head of marketing in 85. Became a vice president, executive VP, and then tough position. I became CEO in 99. To find a buyer. Elias had made some investments in states, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, just unwarranted. And I was made CEO and had to find a buyer at the time and save the brand. And we did it and had a good team that hung in, found a buyer. We coexisted for about 7-8 years and parted company in 08. I was on the board of the Parade Company.
Okay.
And somebody said I think it was May, what do you think? You know, you would go through the whole program and try to pull this thing back to life. And I said, geez, I'm not sure. So I went through the whole thing and ultimately ended up being the CEO and realized just what this needed was an injection of life.
Yeah, you had a secret sauce at Big Boy.
Yeah.
And you have to have some sort of secret sauce here. What is it that makes this parade so magical?
The secret sauce is try to be great at everything you do. And that's the way we built the Parade Company back because it was pretty much in dire straits in 2000, how long ago was that?
It's been
2009,
yeah.
The idea was to make it great. That's the special sauce, I believe, with every business. Because if you're making things great, you're creating a need and a want. And so we increased the floats from 30 feet to 120. We fixed every part of the parade. No more blue jeans and hoodies walking down Woodward. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
We increased the syndication across America to 185 cities. We're on WDIV here live that morning. And just to give you a little flavor, we do a 25 rating and a 45 share on WDIV.
That's exactly what this podcast does. So we are similar in our magnetic appeal to the millions.
Yeah, and I'd like to wave to my cousins in San Francisco. But I tell you, the secret sauce is great. And this team is the greatest team in the world, Brian. They really are. Just great people who get it and understood where we needed to go.
So tell us about that team. I mean, you know, obviously you're the CEO, but you have to have a wild group of creative folks, but also some people that keep an eye on the budget, the people that are, you know, can take visions and dreams and put them into reality. But, you know, and obviously there's safety concerns. There's, you know, how do you capture energy with all the different, you know, groups that are here? Who works on these floats? What kind of jobs do you have here?
I'll tell you, it's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of great people. So it's all of the above to what you just asked. It's a great committed group of people. They understand that we look at these events, and again, we do the Fort Fireworks, the S3 Turkey Trot, the parade, Hobnobble Gobble, the breakfast. We look at all of these things as owned by the people.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so we take on this responsibility that if the people own it, we've got to make it great for them. Because if you think about it, some of the kids, this is their biggest entertainment piece of the year, to stand on Woodward. So we've got a team of 20. We have over 2,000 volunteers who help us.
That's the secret
through
sauce,
the
isn't
year.
it?
It is great. We love our volunteers. We really do. But our team, as an example, Sean, who handles our finance, she also does HR, payroll, all the reporting. I mean, it's crazy. We're governance freaks, you know, when it comes to that, because we're a nonprofit.
Of course.
And I'll put our reporting up against anybody on earth. We are very good.
I imagine that there has to be some excitement every year the parade rolls down Woodward for you. Any really special moments that stick out to you throughout your long career here that you're like, man, that year something happened? You know, any kind of monumental moments or things that just, or it's just simply seeing the kids smile?
Well, I'll tell you, it is a thrill. There's upwards of 1 million people down Woodward, 3 miles. My wife is a distinguished clown, presented by Paul Glantz, and you imagine now.
Great friend.
The first year she did it, 15 years ago, I stand in the TV zone where we shoot everything. And the distinguished clowns came through and they threw their beads at Rhonda. And my wife was crying like a baby. And I said, "What's up?" And she said, "I've never been so touched in my life." She said, "I want to go back and I want to give out more beads to the kids along Woodward and take more selfies with them and pictures with them." And she's now done it 15 years. That's just one small story.
Sure.
When I took this, I knew how loved this brand was, but I never, ever realized how much it was really loved. The notes, cards, calls that I get and our team get, it's incredible. During the pandemic, we did like a virtual parade. It was on DIV. We did a 15 rating and a 20 share, and we taped a lot of it. And people wrote letters saying, "You kept our holiday alive." We got hundreds of those, hundreds of them. And this means the world to the people. And I think that that's probably the biggest thing, is that you can't let anybody down. And I, just in my DNA, I try not to let anybody down. Even you, when you call me for big favors, right?
Well, those calls have gone
vice
both
versa,
ways, by the
vice
way.
versa, yes, yes.
I think it is a wonderful tradition here. And Metro Detroit is one of the few communities, New York City, you know, one of them, I don't know if Hawaii still does their parade or not. But
Philadelphia.
But you know, for me growing up in my family, Mom would make cinnamon rolls every morning. We'd get up in time to watch the parade. And then about the time the parade was done was about the time the Lions would start. And about the time the Lions would start would be about the time Thanksgiving dinner would start. And it just was every single Thanksgiving growing up in this region. And you and your team have always been a part of that.
It's part of our lives. It's part of our fabric, you know. One of the really cool things that did happen, Jim Nance, CBS broadcaster, who's doing the game this year at Ford Field, he and his family always wanted to watch the parade. So I'd get them tickets and they would come over and they'd watch. And so I thought, you know, invited him to be Grand Marshal years ago. He was Grand Marshal. It was the coolest morning. We whisked him over to Ford Field, and we've become great friends.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's just one of those cool things,
Yeah.
you know. And this year we have Dan Lepp as one of our Grand Marshals, retiring as this great CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield, and
Sure.
handing that over to Tricia Keith, who's phenomenal. United States Senator Debbie Stabenow. And you know, Brian, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, Debbie Stabenow is a warrior for our state, hands down.
Yeah.
And then Mike Tirico.
Okay.
We see him, it's like every day he's at a different sporting event on
Yeah,
NBC.
he is, yeah.
So we've got a great threesome, and we're so excited for them to come down Woodward.
Oh, that's great. That's good. You know, thinking of my memories of the parade, I think you know this, you might not, but I have been a big head in the parade a couple times.
Yeah.
I was Diana Ross, and I actually went down the parade route in a sequined dress.
Nice.
It'd be very hard to find pictures of that if I've done my job well. And then the next year I was Joe Louis, and I've been a variety of birds, but it is the opportunity for people to be either distinguished clowns or to be a part of the Big Head organization is another fundraiser for the parade.
Yeah.
And it is just so much fun. I mean, you feel like you are a part of all of it and bringing so much magic to people. I mean, the smiles, everybody's in a good mood on parade morning.
Without question, it just kind of turns on the city, people, for the state. It really does. And you know, none of this is possible, none of it, without the support that we get.
Sure.
And, you know, companies such as Rocket and Blue Cross and DTE and Huntington Bank. I'm not going to name some. I mentioned Gardner White, but it just goes on and on and on. And we're fortunate, but it's our job. We have to deliver.
Sure.
We take this very seriously.
Now, one of the things we've always done on Right Down the Street, the podcast, is we love talking to leaders. Obviously, you being an exceptional leader, our past podcasts have had tremendous leaders in the region. But part of being a good leader is what you've done here, which is capture what's really good about this and drive it forward.
Yeah.
But a leader also has to have a vision. And you kind of are at a really interesting sort of launching off point for where you want to take this in the coming years. Tell us a little bit about where you see this parade going and the new building and what your plans are.
Great. Yeah, the vision was there from day one. I can be very honest with you. It was to improve all of this and then get ready to move out of here. We have to get out of this building. It's old. It's not right. So we have a plan to purchase the Broadhead Armory on Jefferson Avenue. It's been empty for 25 years. It was a naval armory. We have all the designs. We're all set. We have an agreement with City Council, with the city to purchase it. Raising money is not easy. I have to raise $45 million. We're at about 11 million right now. Waiting on some big answers. The idea is to refurbish entirely the front 37,000 square feet of what you see right now, then salvage all of the art in the back building that is salvageable. It's destroyed in there, but we're going to do our best. And then tear down the back and then build a 135,000 square foot, 2-story building, and it's going to house the construction of the floats. We're going to have internships. We're going to have summer camps for kids, the largest in this region for arts and crafts. We're going to have a veterans office. Veterans can hold events. It's going to be a Detroit event center. We're already getting calls for weddings and corporate meetings. It's going to have it all. It's going to have, and it's going to clean up blight on Jefferson Avenue, and the neighborhood cannot wait for this to happen.
It's like a good state of the city location too. I mean,
I
just throwing
think
it out there.
Yeah, I think so. You can go to theparade.org.
Yeah.
You can pull up the deck, take a look at it, write a check if you'd like.
Sure.
We're looking for naming rights, sponsor. Something great about this is every penny that goes into this project goes to the project.
Yeah.
Nothing comes here.
Yeah.
Not a penny. So naming rights are $20 million, but you get your name on that building for 60 years.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So we're excited. We have to make this happen. And talk about vision. That will be an iconic building in the city of Detroit. Major tours. People come from out of town.
Yeah.
We'll take a tour
That's
of
a
the
game
parade
changer.
company.
It's an absolute game changer.
Huge game changer.
Speaking of game changers, in your life as a leader with running one of America's iconic brands to one of America's iconic events, who are some of the people that have influenced you in terms of your leadership or your style or your personality or your interest in being in leadership?
I love people who are all in and are kind of drama free but have fun doing what they're doing. So I was raised at Elias Brothers, and Lou Elias was a classic, and his brother Fred, and Bill Morgan, who you knew, and Gabe Cassim. They were so all in that I just saw at a young age that the only way to make a difference is to go all in. And don't be afraid of anything. Just jump in and do it. They were really key. But there's so many other people. My father, who, if I can tell you a very quick story.
Sure.
So I was looking for somebody to buy Big Boy.
Yeah.
And I had given up my family pretty much. I was working day and night to keep the company going and then find a buyer. And I had had enough at a certain point, and I'll never forget. I called my dad and I said, Dad, I can go do something else. This is absolutely killing me. And he said, well, you've got a problem. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, you committed to being the CEO and finding an answer. And the people there are looking at you. If you go do something else, what does that tell their families? And I said, done deal. I'm here, and we're going to get this done.
Good man. Good
so
advice.
It's stuff like that that kind of drove me.
Yeah.
Not that I don't make mistakes. I make them every day.
Yeah.
But if you're headed in the right direction every day, and it's about other people. When you take on big positions,
Sure.
it's about the people who work for you too.
100%.
It really is. So I've just had a lot of luck and met great people through the years. And so many people in the city of Detroit. Mayor Duggan, who you and I talked about. Watch Mayor Duggan and how he's all in, all in.
Well, it's one of the great treats of being the mayor of Detroit is on Thanksgiving morning getting to welcome Santa to the community, and I'm always a little envious. I get to do it in Rochester Hills fashion at the Village every year, just not without that 45 share across the nation. Speaking of your adopted hometown, you lived in the Rochester region for the last 4 years. What's special? 41. What's special about, in your opinion, about the Greater Rochester Hills community?
Rochester is one of the greatest cities in America, and I can proudly stand up and say that. We have it all. We have it all. We really do. And the innovation is phenomenal.
That's a good word. We love that word here.
Innovation's phenomenal. Traffic is, people might complain, but it's actually getting better because you're redoing roads and doing things that make a difference. Yeah, it's tough when Rochester Road is down to a lane or something, but it's fabulous. It really is. But think about the different areas we have of Rochester Hills and how many things there are to do and how many retailers want to come in and be a part of it. How many people want to live there? I mean, you've been phenomenal, Brian. I have to tell you. My wife and I talk about it all the time.
Well, thank you.
You've been a great mayor. Your team has been phenomenal. We had my daughter's future in-laws in 2 weeks ago. The wedding's going to be up here in Rochester. They live down in Ohio. And they said, we need to move up here.
Perfect.
I mean, it was unbelievable. They said, this is...
I like this family already.
They said, it's unbelievable. We took them everywhere. And they said, we haven't been to a place like this that's this big, but yet this small.
Yeah.
Does that
that's
make
a great
sense?
That's a great way to say it. I was giving a speech this morning, and the metrics that we sometimes talk about so often kind of wash over people until you're talking to a new audience. And that, we've got such, property values as high as they've ever been, vacancy rates as low as they've ever been, still remain one of the state's safest cities, and so many great amenities and parks and shops and restaurants. And the coolest part, I think you're right, is the people. That just whenever you need something, say yes, and when, and how much, and how can we help, and that's what's awesome.
Right. It's great.
We are grateful to have so much of your time this busy season for you, but we have one last question that we ask every person on the show, and you get no prep for it.
Okay.
But everyone's answered it, and you're going to be next. So it's a two-part question. If you could have lunch or dinner with any person alive or past, who would it be, and where would you have it?
I'm a golf fanatic. I'm sorry, I just am.
I know that about you a little bit.
I met Arnold Palmer once, but I always wanted to sit and have lunch with Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
I really would, and I would have loved to have done that at Great Oaks Country Club, right in Rochester and Rochester Hills.
Right on the border.
It's split.
That's a great answer. Well, you know what? That would be a great story, and maybe he'd even redesign a couple of those greens or something for us, because there's some tough ones out there.
Yeah.
Well, Tony, you've been awesome. Listen, we are so proud of you because every time you're up there, we know that you're one of our hometown guys out there making a difference for our Metro Detroit region. We'll all be watching the Hometown Christmas Parade and the America's Thanksgiving Day Parade and all this excitement and magic that you bring. On behalf of all our viewers and our residents, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for representing our community so well. We
Thanks
appreciate
for having
you.
me.
Yeah, thanks
Thanks for coming to our home.
Yeah, and we will be back with another exciting episode of Right Down the Street in the near future. We thank all of you for tuning in, as we always love to brag and tell the stories of the amazing people doing amazing things right down the street. Until next time, I'm Mayor Barnett, and thanks for watching.